Hi, Maria. It's so nice to see you behind the camera today. And thanks for being willing to tell your story, because your story will encourage others, and that's what this is about. What I'd like to do is have you just talk to us. We have a little time here, and I want to hear, which is a story I don't think I've heard yet, is how you became homeless.
Well, thank you for having me here, Miss Kay. It is a blessing and a pleasure to have this opportunity so that other people can hear my voice and my testimonies. And if they're lost and they're confused or going through hardships, that they're not alone, and there are people out there like you in Spirit of Santa Paula to be there to open up doors for them as well. The reason why I'm homeless is because I had made poor choices in people who I used to think that God put in my path to be that light in their life. And I was accused of things that I didn't do, and I was attacked at my complex where I used to live in Thousand Oaks, and I got an unlawful detainer, and that is the reason why I'm in the situation that I'm in. But thank God for you guys to come along to hear my story and to know that what I told you about my experience, you believed in me, and you guys have been a stepping stool to encourage me, to motivate me, and to be there more for my daughters and for the Lord, to fulfill His purpose for the other people around me, to see that they're not alone. And before I ended up in Spirit of Santa Paula, I went to Bakersfield to go see my mom and my kid's father. My two older daughters' dad lived out there too, and I tried to just give him an opportunity to see his daughters as well. And bad things happened. He got drunk and he threw a beer bottle at me, and he tried to attack our oldest daughter. And the police, I called them, they didn't show up, and I didn't know where to go. And once I got on a bus, I called you that next day, and you were able to open the doors for me and my daughters to get off the street. I had nowhere to go. We were at the bus station with all my stuff, and it was just a miracle that happened, you know, with you opening your doors for us, because I was trying to get into other shelter homes at the time, and nothing was available. There was no one willing to help me and my kids. I didn't have family. My family's scattered all over the United States, so it was really hard for me to lean on a support system. But God opened the door. He made a way for me and my kids to get off the street and for me to get back on that right path, which leads me back to Him. And I'm so blessed to have this opportunity to be here in Santa Paula, to meet you, Miss Kay, and to be at the shelter home. It's just been a blessing, a true miracle, and I'm just looking forward to even coming back, even to help volunteering with the homeless, because I want to be that light to give them hope.
You talked about having family everywhere. What was life like for you as a child?
I was a foster child. I grew up in Ojai. From the age of 5, I got put in this system, and it was amazing. I had amazing foster parents, but at the same time, I went through some hardships, as others did. But I can't complain to the fullest, because my foster dad did raise me with Jesus Christ in my life, and that was the best thing he ever did for me. And that was the only good thing that I felt that I got out of that foster home. But I left them when I was 13 years old because they were abusive as well. My dad was very strict. If I didn't memorize a scripture, he would beat me. But I now understand the reason why he did certain things, but it taught me not to be like that towards my kids, because I realized it pushed me further away from Christ when I left them. Mm-hmm. I went my own path, and I had to figure out on my own how to get back with the Lord, and the Lord never left me. He showed me the way. He always has a way for anyone who believes in His name.
What are your memories of the events leading up to being 5 and going into foster care?
My memories, I blocked a lot of my memories out when I got put in the system. Before I got put in the system, I went through a lot of trauma with my biological family, and once I turned 13, I reconnected with my biological mother, and God just made like a projector script of memories that I had before I got put in the system. And I was telling my mom of everything that I remembered that happened, all the domestic violence my mom went through and the hardships my biological father put me through. of things I shouldn't have gone through. No kid should have gone through the things that I went through. And all those memories came back into my life when I came back into my biological mother's life, and it just taught me, you know, what trauma was really like. And ever since then, I've had to keep overcoming that trauma every day, and the only way I was able to was giving it to God, because He's the strength I have to lean on. He's the only one that I can get strength from. I couldn't do it alone. It's been so amazing just to see how He's shown me how to conquer those feelings and emotions, and how to understand that it wasn't God that put me through that. And I had to learn how to forgive my father and my mother for not being there for me or not teaching me about the Lord. So I felt like He blessed me with the second pair of other parents that could. And I had to understand how to forgive them as well, and which I have. And I love them so much for just bringing the Lord into my life. And just being here today to be able to share this is amazing, because I've never felt so much stronger before. Like when I first came to the Spirit of Santa Paula, I felt like every time I mentioned something, I would start crying. But since I've been there, I feel like the staff and Miss Kay has like been a stepping stool to help me to have courage to be able to share my story more without hesitating or being nervous or embarrassed. And I'm so grateful and blessed.
Yeah, it is important to share that story. Most people do not understand how impactful trauma is on a little one. So tell me what that trauma was. Words, slapping, hunger. Describe what that meant to you.
It was fear, and it was something that I felt like my father shouldn't have taken my innocence. You know, I loved my father. When I didn't get that memory back, I was a little girl when I got put in the system, and all I wanted was my mother and my father in my life. And I loved them unconditionally, like the way Jesus told me to. And I wasn't angry at them at that time because I didn't know what happened to me. And when I came back into my mom's life, and then when all those memories, those bad memories flooded into me, I was like, I wasn't angry at God. I was more angry at my parents, like more at my father, because I felt like, you're my father, how could you do those things?
Are you comfortable sharing what things?
Yeah, he molested me at the age of 3 years old 13 months old till I was 3 years old. And my brother, he was a couple years older than me, and he called the police on my dad because my mom was a working mom. She left, my dad was a stay-at-home dad. And I just remember, when I first remembered, he was doing things he shouldn't have done, and I didn't like that feeling. So when I got that memory and I had my first daughter, I was so scared to let even her own father change her diaper because of what my father did to me. So instead of me having to live in that fear, I just prevented him from having to change her diaper. So I always did it because I didn't want to have to think like that of him, because I didn't want to carry my trauma and always blaming other people for doing the same thing, because I know that just because of what I went through, I can't judge others like that.
So your dad, did he ever acknowledge that behavior?
My dad?
Yes.
I don't think so, because he left when I was 4.
Oh.
He never came back into my life. It's like the way God worked, He took him out of my life for a reason, because he had physically hurt me to the point where he was going to have to live with that every day.
You've got 3 daughters.
Yes.
Talk about what you've tried to do for them that was not done for you.
Give them love, hear their voice, and hear their heart and what they're feeling inside. I don't ever want to push my daughters away from the Lord, so I don't force them to speak about God or go to church or read the Bible, but I encourage them, because I show them that, like, my story, and I told them, they've seen it. My oldest one has pretty much grown with me, and she's been a witness to the things I've gone through with her dad's family and my family, and they've just been my motivation and everything. all that God has given me, and that's my purpose here on this world, is to show them about the Lord and to teach them that no matter what comes your way, the Lord can make a way for you to get through whatever hardships come.
You must have had some distractions that got the best of you at some point.
Yeah.
Would you talk about what those distractions were?
I used to use crystal meth, and I fell. I have 9 months clean now. I'm so blessed, and I would not have gotten this far without the grace of God and the support group that I have right now in my life. And I just am so blessed. I can't wait to see how much further I take my sobriety, and how many people I can share my testimonies to, and showing them that, you're not being judged. There's people out there that want to help you and encourage you on that right path. Because when I was using, I wasn't in the right state of mind at times, but I always had faith in God. I knew I was a sinner, but I knew that He loved me no matter what. And it was up to me. I wanted this change. I wanted to make that change in my life because I care so much about my daughters. I don't want them to make the same mistakes I have made. And I don't want them to see that just because you go through hardships, you can have an excuse to fall down in those areas, because it doesn't make it better.
You do have a full-time job now.
Yes, I do. I'm a dental assistant.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You had an encounter with someone who came to Harvard Shelter.
Yes.
And took a shine to you. Tell us what happened as a result of that relationship.
God is amazing. I love how He brings the right people at the right time in my life, and He's opened the door for a second chance for me to have a place. I've had an unlawful detainer, so I was really kind of losing a little hope, even though I got my voucher, but God took that doubt away, and He blessed me with meeting Lori Meyer, I believe her last name is, and she's a real estate agent, and she's an amazing godly woman, and she's opened the door to where God's used her to open a door to where I can am able to have someone give a chance on me and my kids to be able to rent out of their complex. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm so blessed, and I'm not going to let no one down. I just want to see everyone's reaction when they see me conquering these things that they believe in me in.
Are you tempted to relapse or use?
No. I have so many good things going on in my life that I don't have none of those feelings. I haven't, and I'm so encouraged to just be more, I want to help with the community more. I want to do so much, but in order for me to get there, I need to finish school. I want to get my career going, and I don't want to go backwards, because that's not the path that God wants for me. And that's not the path I want to take. I want to stay looking through the windshield and just knowing that those side rear mirrors, those rear mirrors are just to glance at, to see what I conquered, and what is in front of the windshield is where I'm going.
Good. What about school? How did you happen to not finish school? What was going on?
I had my oldest daughter at 16, so it was really hard for me. I was in the system still, and right when I had her, my social worker, she had came and interviewed me, and another CPS worker was threatening to put my daughter in the system because she had cradle cap, and I just didn't put no fear into her, and I knew my rights, and I told her, no, I have not done anything wrong. And then she told me, well, you're lucky that she's in your arms, because if she would have been in that bassinet, we would have put her in the system. And I made sure that they did not separate my kids from me, because that is not what God wanted. That's not what my intentions were when I became a mother. When I became a mother, God gave me life all over again. I felt like I actually had a purpose, and God gave me a chance to have that love that I was missing before I had my kids, because I felt so alone being in the system and being let down by my own biological parents and my foster parents to an extent. They gave up on me. They didn't look for me after, even though they said they loved me. But I knew God did when He planted that seed in me. And she's my pride and joy. Sophia is, and so is Nevaeh and Mia. And I want the best for my daughters. I don't see myself relapsing because I was ready for this. I was ready to take on anything and everything just for them so that they can conquer more and be better than me, because that's all I want to see in the future is the next generation to conquer for the Lord's way, because that's the only way that I see this world surviving and people being able to come together to just share that love and that joy and that peace that we all need.
So you were 16 with a baby. Where were you living then?
I was in Oxnard. I was in a group home, and I was very stubborn when I was a teenager. I didn't like taking orders because of what I went through with my foster family, who I was with for like 10 years or 12, 13 years. And so I ran away, and that's when I met Sophia's dad at my high school. And I really wish I would have finished school, because I felt like I was just I was so young, I didn't understand, maturity, and I wasn't mature. I was not ready to have a kid at that age, So I'm so blessed that I'm able to share my story with my daughters or other young teens like my daughter's age, and for them to share it, because it's not appropriate for young women to have kids that young, but I feel like I don't believe in abortions. I feel like that was just my story, and God chose me to have those beautiful babies that He gave me to teach them these things, so that in their time that they won't make those same mistakes and they can conquer the things that I didn't at that age.
So as you look forward, there's a lot of people at Harvard shelters still struggling, finding their way. Take this last couple minutes and tell your story to them in such a way that you're encouraging them to end up where you are right now.
Well, for all the people that are living at the shelter, I would just say, I love you guys, and I believe in you, and God mostly does. Because if we didn't have Him, we would not have the shelter and the great support system with the staff that we have there. And I thank the Lord for them, because they have been a stepping stone of great support, friends. I could call them friends and family, if anything, because they make you feel loved and wanted, and they actually take the time to get to know your story and understand that you're crying for help, and there are people there that can help you. And that time there is so precious. We cannot take it for granted. Use it to better yourself and to succeed, and just to fulfill God's purpose for you, because there's other people out there that are suffering and that don't have an opportunity, but hopefully we all can move out so the next person could come in and get that opportunity and that chance on them too, to have the door open.
What's your best advice to someone who does stumble and fall and relapse?
Talk to someone. There's people that care. Give it to God. He's the number one person that is always listening to your heart and is always going to be there no matter when you fall. He's going to catch you and help you up again. And don't hesitate to turn to someone or to God, because God's always knocking on your heart. That's all He wants, is for you to open up to Him and have that relationship. Without that relationship, it's going to be harder.
Good. You're a blessing to us, Maria, and it's been a joy to watch you get after it, and with the job, and the girls are wonderful, and it's going to be a cry day when you leave us in April.
I'll be
to go
back.
into your own home. I know, but it's having you at the shelter around us, and the girls particularly. So thanks for sharing your story.
Oh, thank you.
We know it's going to encourage someone, and if one person who hears this decides to follow the path you're on, we're all going to rejoice about that.
Yes.
So thank you, Maria. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you too. Love you.